Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why some people seem to command respect, attention, and admiration effortlessly, while others are overlooked, dismissed, or forgotten? Think about it for a moment. What is it that makes someone's presence so magnetic that people lean in, listen, and even wait for their guidance, their approval, their time? The truth is, it starts with one thing that most of us underestimate: the way you value yourself. Every glance, every word, every decision you make communicates something far more powerful than you realize. When you carry a sense of worth, a quiet but unwavering belief in your own value, the world reacts to it. People sense it instinctively, even if they cannot name it. They respect it, they desire it, they gravitate toward it. And when you ignore this fundamental truth, you give the world permission to undervalue you, to settle for less than you deserve, to treat you like an option rather than a necessity. Imagine for a second the difference it would make if you fully owned your value. Imagine walking into any room and feeling the steady weight of your own worth, not arrogance, but clarity and strength. Imagine people seeking your insight, your company, your approval, not because you chase them, but because your presence signals that you are rare, that you are confident, that you are unshakable. That is the power we are unlocking here, and it begins with a single realization: the world can only give you the respect, attention, and value you are willing to claim for yourself. Most people spend their lives trying to get others to like them, to notice them, to validate them, and they fail because they are looking outward for a sense of worth that only exists within. But when you start from the inside, when you decide that your time, your energy, your skills, and your mind are priceless, everything changes. Doors open that were previously closed. Conversations shift. People treat you differently, not because you have changed them, but because you have changed how you allow them to see you. You are no longer pleading for attention. You are commanding it without a single word. That shift, that quiet force, is magnetic. By the time you reach the end of this message, you will understand not only why self-value matters more than any tactic or strategy, but also how to activate it in a way that makes people notice, respect, and seek you. You will learn the kind of deep, actionable truths that transform how people respond to you, and most importantly, how you respond to yourself. Stay with this, because what you're about to discover is not fluff or empty motivation. This is a blueprint for becoming someone who is not just seen, but sought after. Someone who is not just tolerated, but treasured. Someone whose value is undeniable even to the most indifferent hearts. The reason you need to listen closely is simple. Your life, your relationships, your career, your every opportunity is shaped by the energy you carry. And the energy of self-value is unstoppable. It moves silently but powerfully. It demands attention without demanding anything. And it transforms ordinary moments into opportunities where others are drawn toward you, naturally, willingly, almost irresistibly. If you are ready to step into that force, to stop waiting for recognition and start claiming it, then what comes next will change the way you move through the world forever. Now that you understand the force of self-value, ask yourself this: do you truly know what makes you irreplaceable? Do you recognize the qualities, the experiences, the unique combination of skills and perspectives that no one else in the world possesses in exactly the way you do? Most people wander through life blind to their own work, constantly comparing themselves to others, measuring themselves against someone else's highlight reel, wondering why they don't feel extraordinary. But the truth is, your power lies not in imitation, not in blending in, and not in being what others want you to be. It lies in owning what only you can bring to the table. Take a moment and consider this. Every interaction, every relationship, every opportunity you have is filtered through the lens of your perceived value. If you do not see it clearly, the world will not either. People cannot respond to a strength they cannot recognize. If you doubt your unique worth, hesitate in your decisions, or allow your gifts to remain hidden, you are essentially telling the world that your contribution is optional. But when you are aware of your uniqueness, when you can articulate it clearly, even to yourself, an invisible energy shifts. You no longer need to fight for attention. You no longer need to beg for respect. You become magnetic because clarity of self breeds clarity of presence, and clarity of presence cannot be ignored. Identifying your unique worth is not a casual exercise. It demands honesty. It demands introspection. It requires that you strip away the layers of conditioning, expectation, and doubt that have been imposed on you since childhood. It requires that you sit with yourself and acknowledge what only you can offer. the knowledge, the mindset, the perspective, the resilience, the courage that sets you apart. These are not superficial traits. They are the core of who you are, the backbone of your influence. People instinctively recognize authenticity, and when they feel it, they are drawn in, not out of obligation, but out of genuine respect and desire to be near the energy of someone who knows their worth. The power of knowing your value is amplified by the confidence it creates. When you have clarity about what makes you extraordinary, you stop seeking validation outside of yourself. You stop over-explaining, over-compromising, and overreaching to be noticed. You simply stand in your strength, and that presence resonates. The psychology is simple but profound. People respect those who respect themselves. They follow those who know their direction, and they are drawn to those who project unwavering certainty. Every decision becomes intentional. Every interaction carries weight. Every glance, every word, every silence communicates a truth that cannot be faked. You are someone worth noticing, worth listening to, worth valuing. If you commit right now to uncovering and embracing what makes you irreplaceable, you begin a transformation that changes everything. Your relationships deepen, your opportunities expand, and your influence grows, not because you change who you are, but because you finally allow yourself to be fully seen. The world does not value shadows. It responds to substance. It responds to someone who knows their power and refuses to settle for anything less than recognition, respect, and influence. By claiming your uniqueness today, you set the foundation for a presence so magnetic, so undeniable, that people cannot help but pay attention, cannot help but recognize your worth, and ultimately cannot help but value you. Now that you have claimed the clarity of your unique worth, ask yourself, do you carry it with the confidence it deserves? True confidence is not loud. It does not need to announce itself or seek approval. It is quiet, steady, and undeniable. It is the kind of energy that turns heads the moment you enter a room without a single word being spoken. Psychology tells us that humans are wired to respond to certainty, to cues that signal strength, capability, and self-assuredness. When you move through the world with that energy, people instinctively pay attention, respect your boundaries, and value your presence. Confidence is not an act. It is a reflection of deep inner belief, and it radiates in every gesture, every glance, every word you choose to release. Confidence amplifies every other quality you possess. Without it, your talents can go unnoticed, your insights can be overlooked, and your value can be underestimated. But with it, the same qualities become magnetic. You stop apologizing for your voice, your ideas, your time, your energy. You stop shrinking to fit someone else's comfort or timeline. You occupy space with authority, not arrogance, and the world responds. The psychology behind this is simple. People unconsciously mirror the energy they perceive. When you project certainty and self-respect, the energy you emit becomes a signal that you are someone who matters. That signal alone shifts perception, opens doors, and creates influence that cannot be forced or bought. Confidence is a muscle, and it is built through deliberate action. Every decision to stand firm, to speak your truth, to take intentional steps toward your goals reinforces it. It is strengthened each time you choose presence over avoidance, courage over comfort, and authenticity over conformity. Small actions compound into an unshakable presence. The way you hold yourself, the way you carry your energy, the calm decisiveness in your movements, all of it communicates value far louder than any words could. People do not just notice confident individuals, they are drawn to them. They are curious about them. They seek them out naturally, effortlessly, without coercion. But real confidence is rooted in something deeper than surface level presentation. It comes from the alignment of your actions with your inner truth. When your values, your words, and your actions are in harmony, every interaction becomes a reflection of integrity, and integrity is magnetic. People respect those who do not bend to opinion or trend, who do not waver for approval, who stand firm in their self-worth. That kind of presence is rare. It is irresistible. It inspires admiration and even desire because it signals strength, clarity, and authenticity, qualities that humans are naturally drawn to. Imagine carrying that confidence into every corner of your life. Imagine being unshakable in boardrooms, in social settings, in relationships, and in moments when others doubt themselves or try to undermine you. Every decision, every conversation, every glance communicates a message that cannot be ignored. You are someone who knows their worth, someone who respects themselves, someone whose presence commands attention. That is the energy that transforms perception, that shifts influence, and that ensures that people not only see you, but seek you, value you, and recognize your indispensable place in their world. When you embrace this, you do not chase respect or admiration. You attract it effortlessly, powerfully, and permanently. Now that confidence courses through every movement, every glance, every word. Ask yourself, are you showing up with intention, or are you scattering your energy everywhere, available to anyone at any time? There's an invisible law of perception at work in every interaction you have. Scarcity breeds value, and over-availability diminishes it. When you are always present, always saying yes, always giving, the world begins to take you for granted. People do not truly notice what is constantly there. They do not admire what is always offered. They do not seek what they feel they can have at any moment. But when you appear with deliberate presence, when you engage selectively and with purpose, your energy becomes magnetic. Every interaction carries weight. Every word carries significance. And every glance communicates that you are not just another option. You are a choice, a privilege, a presence that must be earned. The psychology behind this is simple, yet profoundly effective. Humans are wired to respond to anticipation, to desire, to the tension of something valuable that is not easily acquired. When your presence is intentional, people lean in. They notice, they appreciate, they crave the energy and attention you give because they recognize it as rare and meaningful. Being selective is not about manipulation or ego. It is about protecting your energy and signaling that you are someone who respects yourself enough to choose carefully where and with whom you invest your time. This shift alone transforms how people perceive you. Suddenly, you are no longer chasing attention or approval. You are commanding it silently, powerfully, without needing to explain, justify, or negotiate. Selective presence is more than a tactic. It is a reflection of inner strength. It requires discipline, self-respect, and clarity about what truly matters. Every moment you choose to engage is charged with purpose. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to deepen connection, to make impact, to leave an impression. People do not just notice you, they remember you. They anticipate your involvement. They value your input, your energy, your guidance, because they know it is not casual, it is earned. And that earns them as much as it earns you the opportunity to experience the force of someone who knows their worth and acts accordingly. This principle extends to every corner of your life. In relationships, in professional settings, in social circles, and even in casual interactions, those who understand the power of intentional presence hold a quiet influence that others cannot resist. They are not chasing validation, but they are receiving it in abundance. They are not pleading for attention, but attention follows them naturally. They are not bending to the expectations of others, but respect flows toward them effortlessly. Because people unconsciously measure value by the energy and boundaries you project. The more deliberate, the more measured, the more intentional your presence, the stronger this pull becomes. Imagine moving through your life with this understanding. Imagine the confidence that comes from knowing that every interaction you choose to participate in is impactful. Imagine the respect, the admiration, and the value that naturally follows when you show up not out of habit, but out of purpose. This is the energy of scarcity applied with intention. It is magnetic, it is irresistible, and it transforms ordinary moments into opportunities where others not only see you, but seek you, treasure you, and recognize the rare force of your presence. This is how value is created, how influence is established, and how people come to beg for the authenticity, strength, and clarity that you embody. Now that you understand the power of intentional presence, ask yourself this. How deeply do you truly understand the emotions of the people around you? Do you notice the subtle shifts in tone, the hesitation in their voice, the tension in their posture? Emotional intelligence is not a soft skill. It is a silent force that determines influence, impact, and respect. People are drawn to those who see them, who understand them, who respond in ways that make them feel acknowledged and valued. When you master the ability to read and respond to emotion, you hold a power that is invisible but undeniable. It is the kind of presence that makes people feel safe, understood, and inspired, all without you having to ask for attention or recognition. The human brain is wired to seek validation, to crave connection, and to respond to empathy. When you respond with awareness, when you mirror feelings with subtle cues, when you validate experiences without judgment, you create a magnetic pull that cannot be faked. People feel it even if they cannot articulate it. They trust it. They gravitate toward it. Emotional intelligence transforms ordinary interactions into moments of profound influence, and it does so because it addresses one of the deepest human needs, the need to be seen and understood. Those who cultivate this skill are not merely respected, they are sought after. Their guidance, their advice, their presence becomes valuable because it carries weight, authenticity, and insight. Developing this power requires attention and discipline. It is not about pretending to care or performing empathy as a role. It is about observing deeply, listening actively, and responding thoughtfully. Every pause, every nod, every question carries meaning. When you show that you notice what others often overlook, when you acknowledge the emotions that others try to hide, you are signaling something profound. You are someone who matters, someone who is attuned, someone whose presence transforms the energy of any room. This is influence without force, attraction without manipulation, and respect without demand. People do not just respond to it. They internalize it. They remember it. They seek it out again and again. The effect of emotional intelligence compounds when combined with the confidence and intentional presence you have already cultivated. People are drawn to strength that is paired with understanding, to authority that is tempered with empathy, to presence that is both commanding and considerate. This combination is magnetic because it resonates with something primal. Humans are instinctively attracted to those who make them feel safe while elevating their awareness. You are no longer just a figure in their world. You become a force that shapes their perception, inspires action, and commands attention. Imagine yourself moving through life with this awareness fully activated. Imagine the clarity of recognizing not just your value, but how your energy interacts with every person you meet. Imagine the impact of being someone whose presence inspires respect, whose insight is sought, and whose influence is felt without a single demand. Emotional intelligence is the bridge between your inner strength and the way the world responds to it. It is the invisible current that amplifies every other strategy you have embraced. When you cultivate it, you create an aura of undeniable value, and the world cannot help but respond, acknowledge, and ultimately crave the energy you bring. Now that you have begun to understand the force of emotional intelligence, ask yourself this: how committed are you to mastery in your craft, in your field, in the life you are building? Talent alone will never create the kind of influence that makes people value you. Skill alone will not make others respect you, seek you out, or recognize your worth. True mastery is magnetic. It is the product of relentless dedication, deliberate practice, and an unyielding refusal to settle for mediocrity. When you commit to excellence, you create an energy that cannot be ignored. People notice it, even subconsciously. They feel it. They are drawn to it because humans are wired to respect competence, to seek guidance, to follow those who have proven their ability to deliver, to excel, to achieve. Mastery transforms perception because it demonstrates more than skill. It demonstrates discipline, persistence, and resilience. Every hour you spend refining your craft, every moment you invest in growth, communicates a silent truth to the world. You are someone who is serious, someone who is capable, someone who demands attention because you consistently deliver value that others cannot replicate. This is not about comparison or vanity. It is about building a presence that others instinctively recognize as reliable, powerful, and exceptional. The brain responds to patterns of competence. The more consistent your performance, the more people trust your judgment, respect your decisions, and seek your involvement. Mastery creates credibility, and credibility is irresistible. Every action toward mastery compounds into influence. Each skill sharpened, each weakness addressed, each moment of deliberate practice adds weight to your presence. When you demonstrate capability with quiet assurance, people cannot help but notice. They admire it. They respect it. They internalize it. The psychology is clear. Humans are drawn to those who show evidence of competence and reliability because it signals safety, guidance, and leadership. Excellence is magnetic not because it is flashy, but because it communicates confidence, stability, and value in the most undeniable way. True mastery also fuels inner confidence. When you know your skill, when you can trust your abilities, you stop doubting yourself in critical moments. You stop seeking permission to act, to speak, to lead. Your energy becomes self-reinforcing. Confidence amplifies skill, and skill amplifies confidence, creating a presence so compelling that people cannot ignore it. They do not need to be persuaded to notice you. They are drawn to you instinctively because you embody a rare combination of ability and assurance that signals worth, influence, and authority. Imagine yourself standing at the peak of your abilities, fully aware of the value you bring to every interaction, every project, every opportunity. Imagine the respect and admiration that naturally flows to someone who consistently delivers excellence. Someone whose mastery cannot be questioned, someone whose presence alone elevates the energy of a room. Mastery is not a final destination. It is a continual practice that amplifies every other strategy you have embraced. When you commit to being exceptional, the world cannot help but respond. Doors open, people lean in, influence follows, value becomes inevitable. And in that space, you are no longer chasing recognition. You are commanding it naturally, effortlessly, undeniably. Now that mastery fuels your confidence and commands attention. Ask yourself, how fiercely do you protect your energy, your time, your boundaries? True respect is not given lightly. It is earned. And one of the clearest signals to the world that you value yourself is the way you enforce limits. Boundaries are not restrictions. They are declarations. Every no you speak with clarity, every line you draw without apology communicates strength. People are wired to respect those who honor themselves because it signals reliability, self-respect, and integrity. When you protect your space and your priorities, you do not just guard your energy, you increase your value in the eyes of everyone around you. Boundaries create an invisible force field around your presence. They tell the world that you are not negotiable, that your time and attention are not disposable, that your focus is sacred. The psychology is undeniable. Scarcity and consistency breed respect. When others see that you do not bend for convenience or demand, they perceive your worth as higher. They adjust their behavior because they recognize that your approval, your energy, your involvement is not guaranteed. It is earned. This alone shifts perception. People begin to treat you differently, not because you demand it, but because your self-respect signals that you are someone who cannot be taken lightly. Every boundary you set reinforces your inner authority. Each decision to honor yourself strengthens the feedback loop of self-value. When you consistently uphold what matters to you, you align your actions with your worth. You stop overextending, overcompromising, and overexplaining. You no longer give away pieces of yourself to people who cannot appreciate them. And this is magnetic. People are drawn to those who demonstrate control over their own lives, who act intentionally, and who respect themselves enough to expect the same from others. Boundaries create clarity. Clarity builds influence, and influence ensures that you are not only noticed, but valued. Boundaries also foster deeper, more meaningful connections. When people understand that your time and energy are not limitless, they treat interactions with you differently. Conversations are richer. Engagements are intentional. Respect grows because scarcity creates focus, and focus signals significance. Humans respond instinctively to what is rare, what is intentional, what is honored. Your presence becomes something to be earned, something to be appreciated, something that cannot be dismissed casually. Boundaries enforced with quiet confidence elevate your perceived worth in ways that constant availability never could. Imagine the transformation when every interaction, every decision, every commitment reflects this principle. Imagine moving through life where your energy is protected, your priorities respected, and your worth recognized without compromise. Imagine the power of being someone who is sought out not because you demand attention, but because you have cultivated it through consistent self-respect and integrity. Boundaries are not limitations. They are the framework of influence, the architecture of respect, and the foundation of value. When you master them, people do not just notice you, they seek you, they honor you, they recognize without question that you are someone whose presence, attention, and energy are rare, invaluable, and worth pursuing. Now that you have begun to command respect through boundaries, ask yourself this: how intentionally do you give to the world? Generosity is not measured by the quantity of what you offer, but by the thought, care, and impact behind it. People are drawn to those who give with purpose, who contribute in ways that make a real difference, and who give without diluting their energy or value. Strategic generosity is magnetic because it signals abundance, strength, and authenticity. It communicates that you are not desperate for validation or approval, but that you possess the resources, time, skill, energy to elevate others without compromising your own worth. When you give with intention, every action carries weight. Every word, every gesture, every act of support becomes meaningful. Humans are wired to respond to significance, to impact, to thoughtfulness. Random acts of kindness can be forgotten, but acts of strategic generosity resonate deeply. People remember them, they feel them, they seek more of them. The psychology is clear. When you provide something rare, thoughtful, and valuable, you create a sense of indebtedness, not in a manipulative sense, but in a way your contribution leaves a lasting impression that others naturally want to honor. Your energy becomes coveted, your presence treasured, and your value unmistakable. Generosity, when executed with purpose, also amplifies your influence. It demonstrates that you operate from a place of confidence, not need. You give because it aligns with your values, because it creates positive impact, because it reflects the best version of yourself. This is magnetic because people can feel when generosity is authentic versus when it is performative. True intentional giving radiates an invisible authority and grace. It signals that you are someone who rises above scarcity and self-interest, someone whose presence enriches every space they occupy. People do not simply notice this energy, they are drawn toward it. They seek it out, they value it. They begin to associate your presence with growth, opportunity, and empowerment, which elevates your influence beyond what words alone could accomplish. Strategic generosity also strengthens relationships and builds trust. When people feel the depth, thoughtfulness, and intentionality behind what you give, they respond with loyalty, admiration, and appreciation. They recognize that your contributions are not casual, not careless, not easily replicated. Your value becomes tangible, and your presence becomes essential. This principle is rooted in human psychology. People respect and seek out those who enrich their lives in ways that are meaningful and consistent. By giving with intention, you reinforce your worth, elevate your influence, and create an aura of indispensability that others cannot ignore. Imagine the impact of moving through life with this understanding fully realized. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to create value. Every conversation, every gesture, every choice to contribute thoughtfully amplifies your presence and strengthens the perception of your worth. Imagine people remembering not just what you do, but the way your energy makes them feel respected, seen, elevated. Strategic generosity transforms ordinary encounters into moments of influence. It solidifies your reputation as someone rare, someone indispensable, someone whose value cannot be dismissed. When you give intentionally, people do not just notice, they seek you. They honor you. They crave your presence, knowing that every contribution you make carries the weight of someone who truly understands and embodies their worth. Now that you have learned the power of intentional generosity, ask yourself this: how much of your life remains truly known and how much remains intentionally reserved? Mystery is one of the most powerful magnets of human attention because people are naturally drawn to what they cannot fully predict, what they cannot fully understand, what remains just beyond reach. When you reveal everything about yourself all at once, you remove intrigue, and with intrigue goes desire. When you cultivate a sense of mystery, when you allow certain aspects of your thoughts, your ideas, and your presence to remain just out of reach, you create anticipation, curiosity, and fascination. This invisible energy pulls people toward you naturally and effortlessly because they are drawn to the layers that are waiting to be discovered. The psychology behind mystery is simple yet profound. Humans are wired to seek patterns, to solve puzzles, to understand what they do not yet fully grasp. When you withhold in a deliberate and confident way, you trigger an instinctive desire to know more, to connect more deeply, to engage more meaningfully. Mystery does not require deception or manipulation. It requires discipline, self-awareness, and strategic restraint. Every moment you allow someone to wonder, to question, to anticipate your next move, you are enhancing your presence and increasing your perceived value. People begin to associate your energy with rarity, depth, and significance. They begin to seek your involvement, your insight, your time, because they recognize that it is not casual and that it carries weight. Cultivating mystery also reinforces confidence and authority. When you do not feel compelled to reveal everything, you communicate a deep self-assurance that speaks louder than any words ever could. You signal that you are secure, that you are grounded, that you operate from a place of strength rather than need. People are drawn to certainty, to calm control, to presence that commands attention without demanding it. By maintaining an element of the unknown, you elevate every interaction, every glance, every pause, every measured word carries power. People respond to the energy of someone who is intentionally reserved, someone who is not fully accessible, and someone whose presence is rare and valuable. Mystery also enhances the emotional impact of every action you take. When people cannot predict your next move, they become more engaged, more attentive, and more responsive. Every gesture is noticed, every word is analyzed, and every interaction becomes more meaningful. The invisible tension created by mystery magnifies the perception of your worth. People are not only aware of your presence, they crave it. They are captivated by the energy of someone who operates with intentionality, whose depth cannot be fully measured, and whose value is revealed selectively. Imagine moving through your life fully aware of this principle. Imagine the magnetic energy that arises from being someone who is both confident and intentionally reserved, someone whose presence captivates, whose words carry weight, and whose involvement is sought because it is valuable. Mystery transforms ordinary encounters into moments of significance. It ensures that people do not just notice you. They are drawn to you, intrigued by you, and compelled to value you. When combined with confidence, presence, emotional intelligence, mastery, boundaries, and strategic generosity, the power of mystery completes the circle of influence, creating a force that makes people naturally seek, respect, and crave your energy. Now that you have learned the power of mystery, ask yourself, how consistent are you in the way you live, act, and show up? Consistency is one of the most underestimated forces of influence because people often confuse it with predictability or rigidity. True consistency is not about monotony. It is about reliability, integrity, and alignment between your words, actions, and values. Every time you follow through, every time you show up with the same level of focus, energy, and intention, you build a reputation that is undeniable. Humans are wired to trust patterns. When your behavior demonstrates unwavering reliability, people do not just notice it. They internalize it, they respect it, and they seek it. Consistency creates a sense of security and trust that is magnetic. When people know they can count on you, they assign value to your presence, your words, and your influence. Inconsistent behavior breeds doubt, hesitation, and disengagement. Consistency, on the other hand, signals competence, confidence, and integrity. It tells the world that you are someone who can be depended upon, someone who honors commitments, and someone whose presence carries weight because it is stable, predictable, and aligned with purpose. This reliability is invisible, but profoundly powerful. People respond not just to your actions, but to the certainty and trustworthiness those actions communicate. The psychology behind this is simple. The human brain seeks patterns that are safe, predictable, and reliable. When you operate with consistency, people unconsciously categorize you as valuable, trustworthy, and influential. Every promise kept, every standard upheld, every word matched by action compounds into a force that shapes perception and influences behavior. People do not just notice consistency, they gravitate toward it, rely on it, and respect it. It builds credibility that cannot be faked, admiration that cannot be demanded, and influence that cannot be taken for granted. Consistency also reinforces your inner confidence and presence. When you know that your actions align with your values and standards, you no longer feel the need to over-explain, overcompensate, or seek validation. Your energy becomes self-sustaining. Each reliable action amplifies your aura of authority and respect. People begin to measure your worth not by what you say, but by the patterns you create and the integrity you uphold. This is far more powerful than charm, luck, or fleeting impressions. It is the quiet force that ensures people do not just notice you, they seek you, rely on you, and value you. Imagine the impact of embodying this principle fully. Every interaction becomes weighted with significance. Every word, every commitment, every presence signals reliability, integrity, and strength. People begin to trust you instinctively, to respect your decisions, and to value your involvement because you have proven time and again that you are someone whose energy, attention, and contribution are consistent, deliberate, and reliable. Consistency transforms ordinary perception into unwavering recognition, ordinary respect into deep admiration, and ordinary presence into irreplaceable influence. When combined with confidence, mastery, boundaries, strategic generosity, and mystery, consistency ensures that people not only notice your worth, they seek it, honor it, and are compelled to value it in ways that are permanent and undeniable. Now that you understand the magnetic force of consistency, ask yourself, what energy do you radiate to the world every single day? There is an invisible aura that surrounds everyone, a subtle combination of presence, attitude, and energy that communicates more than words ever could. People are drawn not to perfection, but to the energy of someone who embodies vitality, passion, and authenticity. The way you carry yourself, the tone of your voice, the intensity in your focus, the optimism in your outlook, all of it signals value before a single word is spoken. Your aura is the silent amplifier of every other quality you possess, the invisible signal that makes people notice, admire, and seek you. The psychology of presence is undeniable. Humans are wired to respond to energy. Enthusiasm is contagious, calm authority is magnetic, and confidence combined with authenticity is irresistible. When your energy aligns with your inner strength, mastery, emotional intelligence, boundaries, generosity, mystery, and consistency, people respond instinctively. They are drawn to you, even if they cannot fully articulate why. They feel it, they trust it, and they seek more of it. Your aura becomes the signal that communicates worth without explanation, value without justification, and influence without force. Cultivating this energy requires intention. It is not enough to possess skills, knowledge, or strategies if your energy undermines them. Energy must be aligned with action. It must be deliberate, focused, and consistent. Every interaction, every choice, every word, every gesture must reflect the inner strength you have developed. This is the invisible force that separates those who are merely noticed from those who are sought after. People do not just respect presence, they are captivated by it. They are compelled to be near it, to listen, to engage, and to value it because it signals something rare, a person who has mastered themselves and operates from a place of unshakable authority. Your aura is also amplified by emotional resonance. People are drawn to energy that makes them feel uplifted, empowered, and inspired. When your energy is intentional, it triggers psychological responses that create admiration and desire. Others feel safer, more motivated, and more connected in your presence. This is influence at its purest form. It does not require persuasion or manipulation because your energy communicates authenticity, strength, and reliability. Every interaction becomes a reflection of your worth, and that worth becomes undeniable. Imagine stepping into every space fully aware of the energy you carry. Imagine every word, every gesture, every presence radiating confidence, mastery, consistency, generosity, and mystery. Imagine the magnetic effect of being someone whose energy commands attention, inspires trust, and creates desire. When you cultivate this aura, people do not just notice you, they are drawn to you. They remember you. They respect you. They value you. This is the invisible force that turns influence into inevitability, attention into admiration, and presence into irreplaceable power. When harnessed fully, your energy ensures that the world not only sees your worth, but cannot resist seeking it, needing it, and honoring it. Now that you have harnessed the magnetic energy of your presence, ask yourself, do you have the courage to stand alone, to remain unshaken in your beliefs and values, even when the world pushes against you? True influence is born from independence, from the ability to operate without needing constant approval or validation from others. People respect those who can stand firm, who do not bend under pressure, who make decisions aligned with their truth rather than the whims of the crowd. Courage is magnetic because it signals integrity, strength, and self-reliance, the qualities humans instinctively admire and seek to follow. Standing alone is not about isolation. It is about alignment. It is about cultivating a mindset that allows you to trust yourself above external noise, to prioritize your values over fleeting trends, and to act decisively even when others doubt or oppose you. When you show courage in this way, you send a silent signal that your worth is inherent and unshakable. People are drawn to that energy because it represents stability, power, and authenticity. They sense that you operate from a place of inner authority, and authority commands attention, respect, and influence without needing to demand it. The psychology behind this is profound. Humans unconsciously evaluate strength, reliability, and value based on how others respond to adversity and pressure. Those who bend to every opinion, who seek validation at every turn, are perceived as pliable, negotiable, and ultimately replaceable. Those who stand firm, who embrace solitude as a tool for clarity, who are unafraid to make bold choices, are seen as leaders, innovators, and forces to be reckoned with. Courage communicates that your value is not contingent on others. It exists independently, permanently, and unapologetically. Courage also enhances every other strategy you have cultivated. Confidence becomes more compelling when paired with unwavering conviction. Boundaries become more respected when enforced without hesitation. Generosity becomes more admired when given freely yet without compromise. Mystery becomes more intriguing when rooted in a strong self-directed identity. Consistency becomes more credible when it is maintained despite pressure, doubt, or adversity. Your aura, already powerful, becomes unstoppable because it is anchored in a foundation of unshakable courage. People feel it instinctively, and they are drawn to it, seeking proximity, guidance, and approval from someone who cannot be moved by superficial forces. Imagine living fully aligned with this principle. Imagine making decisions, taking actions, and interacting with the world from a place of absolute clarity and confidence in your own truth. Imagine the respect, admiration, and influence that naturally flow to someone who embodies self-reliance and courage. People are not drawn to weakness. They are drawn to strength, conviction, and the silent power of someone who knows their own worth and refuses to compromise it. When you embrace the courage to stand alone, you ensure that every interaction, every decision, every presence communicates a profound, undeniable message. You are someone who cannot be ignored, whose value cannot be negotiated, and whose influence is inevitable. Now that you have embraced the courage to stand alone, ask yourself, are you taking decisive action to fully own your worth in every aspect of your life? Knowing your value, cultivating confidence, mastering your craft, setting boundaries, giving strategically, maintaining mystery, and standing with courage all matter, but none of it is truly activated until it is expressed through deliberate action. Action is the bridge between potential and reality, between influence and presence, between being noticed and being valued. Without it, your worth remains invisible, your energy untapped, and your influence unrealized. Taking action is not about rushing or forcing results. It is about aligning every choice, every movement, every effort with the truth of who you are and what you bring to the world. Humans respond to those who move with purpose because purpose communicates clarity, authority, and competence. When you act decisively, people perceive not just skill or knowledge, but strength, reliability, and power. Your presence is no longer a suggestion. It becomes an expectation. People notice, they respect, and they gravitate toward action that is rooted in confidence and intentionality because it signals someone whose value is real, tangible, and undeniable. The psychology of action is profound. Every time you follow through, every time you step into opportunity without hesitation, you reinforce your own sense of self-worth, while simultaneously signaling to the world that your presence matters. Humans are wired to mirror and respond to consistent, intentional behavior. When people observe someone who does not merely talk about their value, but demonstrates it through tangible results, they instinctively assign greater worth, seek proximity, and prioritize involvement. Action transforms perception into reality, admiration into engagement, and potential into influence that cannot be ignored. Action also amplifies every other strategy you have cultivated. Confidence becomes compelling when paired with bold execution. Emotional intelligence becomes influential when applied in real interactions. Boundaries become respected when enforced consistently through choices. Strategic generosity becomes admired when it produces meaningful impact. Mystery becomes captivating when coupled with deliberate, intentional movements. Courage becomes undeniable when action reflects unwavering conviction. Each deliberate step compounds, creating an unstoppable momentum that draws people in, not because